We're here today in partnership with the City of Barrie, the Ontario Real Estate Association, and the Ontario Realtor Party to bring together local experts, planners, and representatives of the Second Suite program. So right now, I'd like to call up your President-elect, Robin Jones.
Thank you all for coming. It's a wonderful day today as we come on the heels of a specific historical announcement of what the ORPC, Ontario Realtor Corpus, or party has done, accomplished yesterday by announcing in the House that we have achieved our goal of setting the new act for realtors, the REBA 2002 Reform Acts called the Trust in Real Estate Services Act. It was presented by Lisa Thompson. So that comes on the heels of about 25 years worth of effort. Our own Mike Douglas down at OREA has been instrumental in making that happen. So that was a huge accomplishment, and look forward to seeing some great reforms within that act, including the ORPCs, which have been a long time coming. So today, and obviously with regards to that act, I mean, a big part of that is increased professionalism and education through our membership and enhancing our responsibility, and you're all here today to do that. So I'm glad to see you here, and we're going to discuss planning and implementing of maintaining of the second suites. Today we're also going to highlight the economic benefits and how this program contributes in finding a solution to affordable housing within our region, which also ties into OREA's housing action supply. So this is how today will work. Before we dive into our first panel, we're going to have a total of 3 panels. Each panelist will provide a 10-minute presentation before we open the floor for questions from the audience. Panel 1 will introduce the second suites, including the start to finish process, concierge services, opportunities for construction, policy and licensing, and how second suites will fit into the affordable housing plan for Barrie and the Simcoe region. We will then have a brief panel changeover. Panel 2 will look at the build-out and payoff for second suites, including the project timeline, structural needs, building inspection, and property maintenance requirements. Then we'll have another panel changeover. Finally, panel 3 will touch on the financing and management of second suites, including financing options, investment opportunity, landlord and tenant relations, and touch on lessons learned. To begin with, I'd like to introduce Mike Douglas, BDAR member and OREA Director at Large, to bring greetings on behalf of OREA and Ontario Realtor Party, who has helped make today possible. Mike Douglas.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Robin. When Julia and Robin and Tanya asked me to come today, and they said, just bring greetings from OREA and say something warm and gracious. So, greetings, and good gracious, it's warm in here. I'm not going to talk a lot about OREA, frankly, because what matters is how BDAR does what they do. We're thrilled to work with BDAR, and I just want to tell local realtors, you may not be aware, but BDAR is probably the most progressive real estate association in Ontario. You are really, really lucky to have the leadership team you have. You really are. Progressive thinking ideas, and events like this. People often think that advocacy and lobbying is hammering away at politicians, and Jeff will be very familiar with people that like to do it that way. But it's not. You know what? Lobbying and advocacy is engaging with governments, with leaders in the community, and groups and organizations, so that the BDAR members learn from those other sources, and the other professionals learn from the BDAR mindset, what's going on in the marketplace. So these kind of events play a big role in the whole advocacy process, and you should be really thankful for your team. You've got a great, great leadership team. So have a great day, and thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for those inspiring and flattering words. It's very true that Mike's a great supporter of our organization, as he's been our past president. I'd also, so at this point, I'd like to thank or introduce Mayor Jeff Lehman. to bring greetings from the City of Barrie, who have graciously partnered with us in this event. Mayor Jeff Lehman.
Thank you very much, and let me begin by echoing Mike's very correct comments on this association. I have to tell you, I feel extremely fortunate as mayor to have a real estate association as progressive, as engaged, and as active as the Barrie District Association of Realtors. Say it 4 times fast. So I'm just going to spend 2 or 3 minutes setting the stage for your day and maybe give you the big picture. This issue of affordable housing has been central to Council's agenda and a key need for our community now for about 4 years. But it is generations in the making, and what do I mean by that? I grew up in Barrie in the and starting in the 80s, Barrie's growth became very singular in focus. The nature of the growth in this city, and all of you who've been here for a while will recognize that starting in the 80s, we started to grow incredibly quickly, but almost through a single built form, the single detached family home. And by doing that, we have created neighborhoods and areas of the city that are among the very best places to live in the entire country. It is something, in fact, to be very proud of, the neighborhoods that have been created, the quality of life that we've all created together here. But unfortunately, it did not serve some of the market. And that market is the market single people, couples early in life, senior citizens, and of course, all of those who could not afford the dream of home ownership for whatever reason. And while many in Canada could afford that dream for many years, that dream has become challenged by many factors, especially in the last 10 years. And what it resulted in over a couple of generations of growth from the 1980s to today in Barrie was that we built almost no purpose-built rental housing. And as a result, if you can believe it, of all the metropolitan areas in the entire country, in all of Canada, we have the single highest rate of home ownership. That is tremendous. That's a lot of people with equity, but it means we have the lowest rate of rental tenure. And that is an enormous challenge from the supply side, because as all of you know, more people are interested in renting today generally, not just for affordability reasons, but for convenience and for many other good reasons. And what we've ended up with in Barrie is such an imbalance between the supply of rental housing and the demand for it that briefly we had the 3rd highest average rent in the entire country, above cities like Ottawa, Calgary. We really have reached had reached a point 5 years ago in particular where the situation had become extreme. Now, when we talk about low-income individuals, we have a philosophy now called Housing First, and this is something that is driving our approach to this problem as government. Housing First means if you don't have a roof over your head, how can you do any of those other things that are so important? How can you care for your family? How can you seek employment? How can you battle a mental health challenge or an addiction? You need a safe place to live, to start in that, to live life. So there's increasingly a focus at all levels of government on quickly providing housing and then supporting individuals with the things they need, employment services and otherwise, to help them live a good life. What that has meant locally in partnership with the County of Simcoe is that the City of Barrie, in 2014, I challenged in my inaugural speech, I challenged Council to pass our affordable housing strategy in the first 100 days. And we passed it on day 88, if you're counting. What that strategy did in conjunction with the county was to say we're going to get 840 new units of affordable housing built in Barrie over the 10 years from 2014 to 2024. I'm pleased to say we're well ahead of pace to do that. And Second Suites has been a huge part of that solution. So I'm just going to take another minute to tell you why. Second Suites, in addition to something that can be done quickly, because it's about modifying existing stock, in some cases only by a little, in some cases more substantially, Second Suites have multiple benefits. Not only, obviously, are they an opportunity to create housing actually at a range of affordabilities. Not all Second Suites are affordable, far from it, but many are. They're an opportunity relatively quickly to bring new affordable housing to market. They also have a huge benefit for the homeowner, right? There's an income stream, and people are challenged today by the pressures the many pressures of the cost of living. And while being a landlord, having a second suite in your home is certainly not for everyone, it can be a good solution for many. And so we've seen a very strong take-up. I will just tell you in closing that politically this was a bit of a challenge. Our affordable housing strategy had 14 actions in it. Many of them are the sorts of things, planning changes and so forth, that help us get purpose-built housing constructed. And while that comes with its own challenges, it's less of an impact on your average suburban homeowner. But those concerned about second suites, would that change neighborhoods? Would that result in people parking all over the place? Would tenants disrupt the life of neighbors and so forth? But just think about the math for a minute. There's 60,000 households in the city of Barrie. We've built about 300 or 400 second suites as part of the affordable housing source since the passage of the affordable housing strategy. Think about how that plays out. It might be one on your street. Maybe it's 2 or 3 in a street where the housing stock is particularly supportive or there's nearby demand for affordable housing or employment. But this is not something that necessarily transforms a neighborhood. It's something that can integrate beautifully into a neighborhood. And with the support of organizations like yours, you have some tremendous not-for-profits and charities like Redwood, who you're going to hear from today, who are active in this space, working with realtors, working with contractors and homeowners to try and make this solution work and help us overall as a community address this critical need. Because if you don't have a roof over your head, you can't participate in the rest of good life and good society and the quality of life that we all enjoy in Barrie. So I really want to express my appreciation for what you are doing today by reaching out, by being an active part of the solution to what is in many ways one of the greatest challenges affecting our community. We've had some success, some early success, but the scale of the problem is such that we're going to need more success and deeper success in many areas of housing, and second suites are an important part of that solution. So thank you for being part of that solution, and I wish you a very good morning.
Thank you very much, Mayor Lehman, for those thoughtful words. And Mayor Lehman was very instrumental in the beginning of the evolution of this meeting when he asked us to conduct a survey earlier this year regarding second suite knowledge by our members. And we recognized some disconnect in terms of what was available to us versus what we knew, and hence this meeting. So thank you very much.